Hey everyone, welcome to the J Free 906 podcast. And Tom Burns sitting in again. I'm the co-host here. How you
Hello,
doing, Tom?
hello, hello. Are we ready for tonight?
We are ready for tonight. Yes, we
Well, I
are.
tell you, we just had some guests in the pre-show, and I had some notes ready, and I can tell you what these notes are worth now. She's unscripted, folks.
yeah, for sure. Well, we had a great time earlier today, with Karen Publicover from Oak Island from the other side of the causeway. And so Tom and I tonight, our plan is to go through last night's episode of the top 10 treasure theories of Oak Island. But before we get to that, we have a few people that, I asked to come by, to say hi and, help us kind of get ready for this season 11. So without further ado, let's say hi to the guy. How's everyone doing over there? The party at Laird's house, right?
With another.
I see Laird's got the hockey jersey on, so he's going
Yeah,
to
that's really
he's
cool,
going to have
Laird.
to sing the national anthems for us.
Custom Oak Island jersey. Yeah.
That's nice. It's even got your name on the back, right?
Yeah.
That's nice. That's really cool. So, thank you guys, first of all, for coming by tonight or hanging out at Laird's house and helping us to kick off season 11. And I wanted to give it also a special thank you to all of you guys that were there for my birthday in June. You guys went above and beyond, really did. And I really appreciated that so very, very much. I know, Emma, I know you couldn't make it, but Brennan was there. I seen Brennan on the stairwell as we were coming in, and I turned around and I'm like, hi. I'm like, wow, he's coming to have dinner here tonight. That was really cool. And then I came around the corner and there everybody was sitting there and I was just astounded. But it was thank you guys so very, very much for that. That was really, really cool. I appreciate it. Emma, we voted you for the Rookie of the Year. You won Rookie of the Year honors for last season 10. So you're not eligible this year.
You were the only nominee.
But the question is, after you have your rookie year, what are you going to do in year 2?
Yes, see, yeah.
Sophomore.
Right. So, we are going to be taking votes as we go through the season. We're going to be taking votes for the MVP, the most valuable employee. I don't know, most valuable MVP person. Yeah, we'll just leave it at person, I guess, for the season. So you guys are all in the running for that. All of you are. So we'll have to see who gets the. Yeah, no pressure. No, Rick is not eligible. Craig's not eligible, and neither is Marty because they're just not eligible. So it's up to you guys. So we'll see who gets the MVP.
Well, they each have 1 point right now because they're here. So.
That's right. You all just got a point for being here, right? So, you guys, it's been a long summer. I wanted to ask you about the Hurricane Lee come through there. How did that affect things much, either at home or on the island?
Not so much. We had a few trees down. Nothing that affected anything.
Good deal.
Power was out on the island for a day.
Yep.
For one production day.
We worked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we worked that day.
Yeah.
You really did. Wow. When the hurricane was raging, you were still working.
Yeah.
Wow. That's Circuit Trova. Them guys are slave drivers to make you work on a day like that, I guess. Wow.
We worked the day with
the day without power. Monday without power. So.
Oh, okay.
Hurricane rolled through on the weekend. We did work.
Well, you would have worked all weekend.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Well, I did want to ask about the interpretive center. I know that, and I know we're not gonna get any season 11 questions, of course, but I did want to ask about the interpretive center, if that's all right. I know it was added on to. We've seen some pictures of that, and so where are we at with that? Is that like? Have you guys been able to move the equipment over to it yet, or is that how are we looking there?
I'll let Emma speak to that.
No, I can do it. I went there. I was in where the equipment was in the old place,
Mhm.
and I had to go in the field, and I came back and it was completely moved out in about
Oh, wow.
for an hour and a bit.
Yep.
All the machinery was moved out, and
I had to step out because I was nervous.
yeah, Emma got a bit anxious about moving $1 million
Yeah.
worth of equipment.
Look, Scott was carrying it around like
You come on the CT scanner on the skid steer, everybody was like, oh god.
So it went really well.
It did, yeah.
Good, good. Now you guys are now we talked to you about this before, Laird, so I figured this was a fair question, but you guys are able to do work for other people around the area, not just what's found on Oak Island, correct?
Yep.
And is that
Leads us to a really neat tie-in for this season, but yeah, I can't talk about it.
Like to tell you, could tell you, but
yeah, Renee says I don't think I've ever seen Laird without a hat on. Well, there you go.
I have it, but
Yeah. So so that's really good. That and also about the interpretive center. Obviously, everybody that goes over there, they want to be able to. They get turned around when nobody's allowed to. That island is not open for tourism right now, obviously. But we're wondering, is that in the plan still to be open soon, for at least for the interpretive center coming up in the
So,
future?
as you know, when COVID happened, we shut everything down, of course. And
Yep.
then that year we also purchased the lab equipment, and we kind of removed everything from the museum. We set up the lab in there, and it grew and grew, and more shelving and more artifacts and stuff, and we ended up basically using all that space for the lab. So we realized, with COVID ending and the world opening up again, we have to get started at some point.
Yeah.
Built this addition on. We've got everything moved over. The lab is up and running in its new location. So I can't say officially, but I mean, we do have aspirations of getting things back together and getting things up and running and open to the public again sooner than later.
Oh,
That's
that'd
good
be
to hear.
great.
The one logistical thing people don't realize is that the parking lot is filled with cars of employees.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you if you're going to build a bigger parking lot.
Yeah.
We made a few changes this winter because of the addition onto the museum with the lab. It came up towards the road, so we had to kind of change the road in. It was quite a narrow path between where the research center sat and the addition. So we tore down most of a building that was behind. We repositioned the research center. We changed around the former archaeology trailer and basically shuffled stuff around to try to make more room. Things have just grown over the last few years. More staff, more crew. So yeah, that's going to be one of our issues is where we're going to put everybody.
Yeah. Wow. I can imagine. Yeah. Cause for sure that once that is open for people to be able to come in, there's going to be a lot of folks coming over there to see it for sure. I know that. Yeah. That's going to be interesting. I'd like to go in there and see it myself at some point when it's up. If I make it back up to Nova Scotia, I'm kind of hoping I can get back up there this coming next year, 2024 during the summer. I'd love to be able to get back up and see it if it's open at that point. They'll have to park at the church and ride a bus. There you go. Who could be? You got to get somebody that could run the bus. Hey, I can do that. I can run the bus.
It gets crowded. I mean, we get people coming with motorhomes towing the vehicle behind, and then they cross the causeway and try and turn around in the yard.
Not a lot of turnaround space.
Oh yeah, that would be tough.
So we have a few ideas we're working on to try to alleviate that. And hopefully, like I say, sooner than later, we'll be up and running again and welcoming people back to the island.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, and a lot of people ask us. We get asked those kind of questions all the time about, where are things at with that, and we just simply tell them we don't know. It's up to we'll have to see what gets announced going into the future here for that. So, but like I said, Tom and I are going to be talking about the top 10 theories, treasure theories tonight, and you guys haven't seen this show yet. It's because it doesn't air until Sunday. So, but some of the folks that we've had on the show here before and talked to about many of their theories as they come on, it was interesting to see how it was structured this year, and it looks like it's all kind of grouped around the Knights Templar. And so we're going to kind of dig into that a little bit tonight, but most of the theories, and they got the very last one was Zena's, and it kind of pulls them all together, all of the theories together into one. And I just wondered, if you can answer this or anybody wanted to take a stab at it. What do you guys think about your top theory? I know that Laird's not a treasure hunter. He's an archaeologist, but if you had to pick a theory of who, what, why, where, and when, what would you think? What do you guys think?
For me, in terms of plausibility, the Norse could have been. The
Mhm.
Norse could have made it to Nova Scotia. I think we're fairly certain they probably did.
Mm.
Um,
I'm gonna get this on record, Laird saying that the Vikings are-
no, I've been involved. I've been involved with the Swedish archaeologists before, looking for a burial actually that through the sagas he thought occurred in Nova Scotia, but in terms of geography, it was quite a broad range, and so it's like looking for a needle in a haystack.
And on that end, years ago, some Swedes got in touch with me looking for pollen evidence down in the Yarmouth region.
Yeah.
They were convinced that the sagas led them to Nova Scotia.
Was it
So,
Mats Larson?
that rings a bell.
Yeah, he's probably.
Yeah, and well published.
I did work with him in Yarmouth.
Yeah, and so I mean, there's certainly outside of just sort of the theorists, sort of a group. There's academics who are very interested in that idea.
Yeah. Apart from that, I would leap into 1650 and afterwards.
Mhm.
Yeah, the 15 and 1600s seem to be a pretty popular time for activity.
Yeah. Well, I know that like Ian finding that piece of wood in the stone in the platform, in the big and then having it dated in the 1200s. I mean, that's
Yeah, that kind of stuff's all interesting. There's some other sites that sort of almost parallel it, but we got to find the artifacts and to support the dates.
That's the biggest problem is building any theory just based on dates is.
Who knows? Maybe we did. We can't say.
But
that's true.
Oh, yeah.
the older, if we're looking for a Viking site, we're not finding bottles and pots and things like that, right?
Big
very-
travel light.
Big traveled light.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, so why do you think that the lack of physical evidence of people being there might be? Is it because everything they used was biodegradable, or just they didn't leave anything behind, or as you say, they traveled light?
So if you go early on, they're what is ceramic now is back then what we call treenware. So it's wood, right? And so it's just not surviving. And they didn't have knives and forks and spoons. They had knives, forks and spoons.
For their hands.
In their hands,
And basically at Lonso Meadows up in Newfoundland, which is a confirmed site.
Yeah.
There's precious little there.
It's a confirmed site, but they have very, very little.
Yeah.
The biggest evidence is a spindle whorl.
Yeah.
So it's the what they use as their spinning wool.
Oh yeah.
It's a hollowed out stone, and that's really the definitive Norse marker that you find.
Interesting. Brendan, what do you think? Who do you think if treasure were ever to be found, who do you think did it?
I like the Templar. That's the kind of the romantic age of things, and I like that how it all ties in. But there's so much evidence out there that I don't know if it'll ever be solved.
If you could move your drill rig any place on the island, where would you move it?
Oh no,
I'm not qualified to make that decision.
Lot 5, maybe.
Don't look at Scott. Answer the question.
It'd be interesting to see,
Yeah.
what difference there would be
from
a geology standpoint.
Yeah.
No, I'd be with you. I'd be with you.
And moving across the island.
Oh, there you go.
Well, we do systematic testing through it.
We dug in Lot 4, very close to the border. Lot
Yeah.
5. We know what's
You
there.
dug basically a trench, right?
Yeah, right down to the slate.
Yeah.
It's not very deep. It was like 8
No,
feet.
that's quite
No,
shallow.
yeah. Yeah, very different. Yeah. The two.
That's what's interesting about the island.
Yeah.
Diversity.
It's like totally different from east
Who's
to west.
next?
Yeah.
Yeah, Skip.
I don't. Oh, you mean my favorite? My favorite.
Yeah, what's your favorite
Yeah.
theory, Ian?
Yeah,
my
your favorite one.
theory.
He's going to end up the same age as me.
My favorite theory. I'm really, I don't know. Is it a theory? Because I just don't follow that stuff that much. But I'm really interested in the early 17 to mid 1700s and British, possibly a British presence on the island. But what intrigues me is if that's true, there's no record of it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
something mysterious happening because we found no records of anything like that happening on the island. So that adds to the mystery, not the history. Well, it's history and mystery. And
But that aligns with what we're finding at Smith's Cove and the Stone Road.
yeah. So
right?
is it a theory? I think it's still a theory because we still have to figure out a lot. But I'm kind of really interested in that early mid 1700s.
Yeah, that's definitely, there's a lot of stuff popping up around that time, over the course of the last 10 seasons anyway. So, that's, Emma, what do you think? Who would you like to see, Emma, on the, I'm a Templar person. I'd kind of like to see the Templars, but what do you think?
Well, I go by the material data, and I'm kind of, like Laird with Spooner. 1600.
This is how Emma's theory works. She has a machine. She's presented with data. This is when just she and I, when she's alone, and she looks at it and goes, "Crap," because it's lining up with a theory.
Yeah.
And I have to say, oh look, we have to call the producers. Right? We have to let them know. So she's all about data, and just every once in a while,
It lines up. But
That's cool.
I like to go blind and let the
And if it does, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not searching for it. It's fine.
No, you're not. You're not trying to make the data match the theory. Just the data that comes up happens to go along with the theory.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will say, like the 1600s and early 1700s, that's something that I am pleased with. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all learning more than we need to know about iron.
Yeah.
Iron production.
What kind of year is it?
You're an expert in iron.
I know a lot. Yeah. Useless. It was useless energy. I thought, not energy. Useless knowledge.
Neurons.
When neurons, it was. Yeah.
When I looked at her CV, she was looking at gold content on Portuguese iron nails, and I went, "You're gonna fit in really well."
Really? Yeah, that nudge.
Yeah.
For years, we looked for somebody saying, "We can never find anybody that can tell us anything about iron."
There you go.
Bingo.
Yeah, rookie of the year, MVP.
That was one of our biggest struggles was iron artifacts.
Yeah.
What we learned from it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nuance to it.
And as I've said a few times, that what used to be just lumps, or used to be just, I don't know, maybe a coin.
Yeah.
It's completely transformed now with the lab.
The lab is amazing.
Opens up a lot.
Yeah. That's amazing. You guys need to have a window in the interpretive center where people can look through
Funny you should mention that.
Yeah, we actually do.
But the only bad part is it stares straight at Emma.
No, it's a little takeout window, isn't it?
Hi, I'm not going to take your order.
Go, Pepsi, go.
Drop off your medal.
Yeah, you can look in there and watch her working. That'd be great.
I think Emma, I think you've been asked this question before, but somebody posted it. Emma, is there,
Ben and Jerry.
That should be a one-way window. That's right.
Oh, even the one-way one?
Yeah, sort
Us
of like,
looking out.
yeah, sort of like when they're interrogating somebody.
No. So we can watch her.
Other way around. Yeah.
Sorry.
so Emma, somebody asked a question for Emma. Is there any chance that you think that the gold and silver in the ground is from a naturally occurring source as opposed to dropped by humans?
No, just
Can either confirm nor deny. Okay, move on.
Yeah,
Nice try.
come on.
you're allowed to say what you
I need further analysis.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well,
Emma, you have failed me.
No, but I will say I haven't gotten quite the hit I got from last year. Yeah. So
That was another one of those.
Oh shit.
We were.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, that's fine. You're fine. No, you're
That was another one about just the two of us in the lab and her going,
Mm.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, when that happened.
yeah,
yeah.
off to the money pit.
Mhm.
It's like, wait, let me check it.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, I got to say that we really, truly appreciate you guys and what you're doing out there. And like I said, there's only about 2 million people that are really excited for season 11 to get started. Even though you guys may, you know, however you feel about it, there's about 2 million people that are really excited for it. And we are. And I can't wait to talk about it. We're going to be going through every episode and kind of breaking it down and having some fun with it a little bit. And we hope that during the season sometime, I know that we hope that you guys can, you know, pop in after a significant find or something. Once it's aired, we know then you can talk about it. So hopefully you guys will join us again later on in the season. But I really appreciated you coming on and you know, saying hi to everybody and helping us kick this off.
That was our pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, happy to.
You know, we can't say much because nothing's played yet, but
Yep.
we can say that I think everybody's going to enjoy it. We've had typical Oak Island year. There's lots of ups, lots of downs.
Mhm.
Some pretty exciting things happen. Some very surprising things that I think none of us ever saw coming.
Nope.
Wow.
So yeah.
I think one of the busiest years I've been involved, just in terms of stuff happening.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it reminds me of season 7, I guess, when we had everything happening.
Yeah.
And this year was similar to that. There's a lot of projects happening
A
simultaneously.
lot of connections being made.
Wow.
Times,
Yeah.
What's that?
exciting times.
Exciting
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great to hear. Yeah, that's really that, you know, that's one of the things that people you know, I get a lot of emails and comments from people all the time saying, "Oh, they never find anything over there." And I just look at them and go, "Well, you just don't watch the show if that you feel that way."
To
Because
be fair, we don't watch the show either, so we don't know what the show is. But I think all of us agree. We'll give props to the people who make the show. I mean,
Yeah.
they work hard. They clearly have a winning formula because
Mhm.
we're
Yeah,
on
yeah.
season 11 right now.
Yep.
And those guys are great. I mean, they
But-
can take our mess ups and they can make something out of it that again makes 2 million people want to watch us on TV.
Yeah, and they really
I
put
can't
it,
understand why.
and they put a ton of time into understanding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And understanding what we do, so that they can, I think, as carefully as possible, put together something that represents what we're doing.
But honestly, at the end of season 5, I was like, okay, bye. This is it.
Right.
And now we're season 11.
Yeah.
And I'm still
You're locked in.
I'm still
You're
here.
locked in.
But
Legitimately here. Like it's not just we're not showing up for a paycheck.
No.
No.
and the production guys are the same way. I mean, they've learned. I won't say everything there is to learn, but I mean, they just soak this up. They study this. They're as up to date to everything as we are.
Our executive producer John Levy knows everything. He knows a whole bunch more than I do for sure.
Yeah, every theory, everything there is to know about Oak Island, these guys know it.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, one thing that, and I hope that we'll get it at some point, but we definitely want the bloopers reel to be made.
Oh, you don't. They're pretty fun. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't know if we can do bloopers. We can do music videos.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good too.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah. Who's the best singer on the island?
Oh, it's got to be
Terry.
Terry.
Terry. Ah, okay. Terry.
Harmony.
Oh,
Yeah. Worst harmony is Doug and Paul.
that was good.
I'd ask how you know all that, but I'm probably better off not knowing.
Yeah, probably better off not knowing.
Yeah.
So is there a lot of singing going on the island usually?
Terry.
It's usually Terry.
Yeah.
There's may or may not have been a few songs recorded on the island. Maybe a video or two.
But you guys got this on video, right? Somebody videoed it, right?
Although there's actual videos made.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right. Yeah.
I have the bloopers.
Aren't they on TikTok right now? They're going viral as we speak.
Oak Island karaoke party. There you go. Yeah, that'd work.
Yeah, we have a lot of behind the scenes. We just
Yeah.
us have a lot of behind the scenes things.
Oh, we'd love to see it.
The highlight is Terry at the money pit, but
Yeah. There was a point when Laird was walking around with a little Osmo
oh yeah,
camera recording things like lunchtime in the research center and stuff like that. I mean, that's
yeah. Steve was a star there.
Oh,
We have to get Steve Gupta to explain short, tall.
Yeah, you're a tall, or you're
no.
a
Short,
short,
tall. Or short, tall. Yeah.
Now, Steve, do you still? Somebody was doing a book. Was it not the book of the crap that Steve says?
Yeah, Laird, yes.
You still got that going?
It became a bit much.
Yeah. No, we would never find a publisher.
No, there's nobody.
Nobody would touch it.
Yeah, very specific.
Throw it down one of the shafts and somebody will find it in 500 years.
Oh, there's a good time capsule. Yeah, there you go. A manuscript.
Charles still sends me Steve-isms.
Yeah.
Steve-isms. All right. He has his own trailer, right, too, for makeup and everything we heard. So yeah.
You know what? He's actually growing out of that.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's not doing the grooming so
Not
much
so
anymore.
much, although the whole hard hat issue was about messing the hair.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Some more than others.
We give him a hard time because he's an easy target.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna have some
Best
spin-off.
type, best type is easy target to shoot at. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we heard it earlier that there's going to be some spin-off shows. One of them's called Sailing with Spooner. Sailing with Spooner.
Really? I never even heard of that. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
Data with Emma.
What's that?
Yeah, Data with Emma.
Oh, Data with Emma?
Yeah, it's kind of like Fun with Flags with Sheldon Cooper.
Who catches the most fish? There's- not Emma. Huh?
Yeah, good question. Oh, I would say Scott.
Scott catches the most fish. So fishing with Scott.
No.
Boating with Scott.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. I told you 20 minutes, and we were pushing 30 now. So I've already lied to you, and I didn't mean to do that. But no, thank you guys so very much. I really appreciate you coming on and like I said, helping us kick off season 11. You guys are wonderful. Like I said, I really appreciate all the everybody coming by when I was there out in back in June. Really appreciate that. I want to come back next year. I got to get a few more signatures. I got to get Emma's signature on the hat. I got a lot of signatures on here.
Is it on there?
Is it? I think it might be.
She signed it in Japanese.
Yeah.
Ah, see?
Yeah, that's Emma.
Oh my.
Me out.
Go to stick.
Yeah, it's her first language, so
Yeah, exactly. I made a little clip of that and I put it on TikTok. So there you go. I did from our podcast. We did that when you were talking about your first language, and I put that on there. That was great. Little things that we wouldn't, we didn't know before about Emma Culligan. There you go.
no facts.
No facts.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go, guys. Thank you so very much again, and hope you. We don't know when you're wrapping up, but hopefully you'll wrap up soon. And then, like I said, we'll get started with season 11. Which starts on November 7th, by the way, in case you didn't know. November 7th, Tuesday night. For us here in the States, for you guys, it'll be the following Sunday, I guess.
Yeah, 12th, I believe it is. Yeah.
But we're looking forward to that. And I hope that we can talk again soon, sometime during the season, and see how things are going and have you back on the show. But again, thank you guys so very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Good night, everyone. All right. That was really cool. Really appreciate
Wow.
that.
Yeah, we could have gone for hours.
I know. And I promised them, I said, no, we'll 20 minutes.
If
And then,
you're going to get them back,
yeah,
stick to
I got to
time.
stick with my promises. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yep. That was really nice of them to come on.
yes, it really
Because
was.
they're not at the point now where they can say anything other than the fact we were here.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. I know. And that's it's so hard because you just want to ask those questions, but
Oh, you'd love to.
but again, I can't put them in that position.
No.
So. All right. So the top 10, I hope you all enjoyed that. I know I sure did. And I know I was teasing about it quite a bit as we were leading up to tonight's show. It was simply because I was trying to get make sure who all was coming. I didn't want to jump out and say, hey, so-and-so and all these guys are going to be here. And then they, couldn't make it.
It just takes one thing to change on the island, and
Yep. which is
Were
what
these-
happened to Steve Guptill. Steve said he
Yeah.
was going to do his best to be here, but then it fell through at the last minute and he couldn't be here. So, he wasn't invited over to Lairs for the party tonight. So,
Hmm.
but anyway,
that's probably got a story of its own.
yeah, I'm sure it probably does. So, the top 10 treasure theories for Oak Island, and I thought, this was it was a good show, and I was really surprised at how they kind of mixed it up. Number 10 being the Knights Baronet with Jim McQuiston. Jim he's been on the island several times. He's been on the show several times. He's written several books about it.
Number of books, yeah.
Yeah,
mean,
and
That's his
you know-
most recent one there.
Yep. And in the whole 1632 thing, though, too, for him,
Yeah.
1632 when the French attacked Nova Scotia, ousting the Scots. So that was his big time frame there, and he was talking about how they had to take shelter in Mahone Bay. The Scots did, and at that time they had money. They had money over there because, according to what his theory says, that they had. Well, if you read that first book that he wrote, that I'm kind of still working on doing some narration for him, but it comes over saying that they had treasure that they brought over to start kicking off Nova Scotia, New Scotland. And so then when the French came over and attacked and basically they ousted them, they had to take refuge, and he believes they took refuge in the Mahone Bay area. And then you have that wooden T-square that
Yeah.
Gary happened to look down and see it when they were
Mhm.
working in the swamp. And that dated to 1632.
Exactly.
So
There's a lot of dates that when they give us the date ranges that fall 1400 to 1600, 1450 to 1650. So, there's a lot of stuff that they find that still fits within Jim's range of activity.
absolutely. So I'm still hoping, holding out hope for him, but again, well, let's jump to the next one. Number 9 was Duke d'Anville. So Duke d'Anville theory, when they talked about that, and then Doug started that off talking about it, and also Corian, I had a chance. And if you guys, I wanted to mention too, Corian Mole was on, we did a show with him on Sunday. And Corian and I asked him about Duke d'Anville because him and Charlotte Wheatley had talked about that when they were on in season 10. They had talked about Duke d'Anville and about the 2 ships that had gone over early, the 2 like scout ships, I think, or whatever, went over
Yep.
early. And they went ahead of the fleet, the 1746 fleet, and the d'Anville family, having, believed to have ties to the Knights Templar back to the time of the Crusades. So, and then how the records weren't, really, they didn't want to talk about that. I mean, what's your thoughts on that one, the Duke d'Anville theory?
Yeah, well, the big thing with that one is they sent the two lead ships over in advance of the convoy, right?
Yep.
Well, they supposedly had the loot that was going to finance whatever operations they were going to pull off. So they figured we better find a hole, dig a hole, and bury it.
Yep.
Right. That's Doug's theory.
Yep.
Well, then it comes about that the fleet sets out, but the fleet never makes it.
Right.
So where'd the money go? These guys get in their boat and sail home, or like what happens?
Or did they go back and get it and take it? I don't know.
Or did they
And
leave
those
it?
2 ships, I don't know. That's something I'm not sure about. That what happened to those 2 ships? Did they make it back? I don't know. That's have you
Yeah,
heard?
I think they left town, but somebody in the chat might know for sure. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something I'm gonna have to ask. I might have to ask Corian about that because
Yeah.
that's something I don't
Doug
know.
would
Were they-
know. Yeah.
Yeah. So if they stashed it there, did they go back and get it out and take it back to back overseas with them?
Mhm.
Very interesting. So that's another good the whole, that ship's log that Doug Crow was reading from there at the war room table and talked about, digging a pit to hide the treasure because they were afraid it would fall into enemy hands.
Mhm.
And an island of oaks and coming in from the
Yep.
shore.
And they dug it to 60 feet, and then they had water, so they figured they'd keep digging it.
Mhm.
They get down to what 80 feet or something. So
Right.
there's a magic number for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 80 feet. So yeah, so that one still hold. I mean, all these were still good theories. I think so. So number 8
yeah.
was the Captain James Anderson theory.
Mhm.
He was a Freemason, a pirate, privateer before becoming a naval captain for the U.S.
Mhm.
In the Revolutionary War.
Yeah. And his family's fingerprints are all over Oak Island.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because he bought that lot,
Yep.
lot number 26, that he eventually sold to Samuel Ball.
Yep.
But yeah, so he actually owned that lot when the money, well, no, he sold it to Samuel Ball before the money pit was found, but he owned that lot. But one of the interesting things I thought about Captain James Anderson was that he was given command of a ship of valuables. It doesn't say what the valuables were, but he was given command of a ship of valuables. Then he fled to the British held Nova Scotia with that ship, and he bought lot 26, and he kept it until 1788 when he sold it to Ball. So what was this ship of valuables?
Back in that day and age, there's really only two that I know of, and that's either gold or silver.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
We're not gonna. There's nothing else that would be recognizably, internationally exchangeable.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he basically betrayed them, and went up to Nova Scotia, and he bought that lot. So, still there's those piers. Remember when the wharfs, I'm going to go back and say that, call it the wharf, not a pier,
Mhm.
but the wharfs that came off of lot 26, where that wall is,
Yep.
the stone wall that we talked about, that's one of the
Mhm.
ancient structures, a very wide, very high, thick wall. And it did not extend out into the water. They already determined that, but
No.
that's basically where that wharf was. It goes and extended on out
Mhm.
into the ocean there. So,
And they
yeah.
say that lot 26 stone wall would be dated. The charcoal inside was dated around 1500 to 1600.
Mhm.
So before he even showed up.
Before he even showed up,
So how did he know to go there?
right? And was a wharf ever there before him or after him too? So
Right.
again, Captain James Anderson. Boy, I don't know. We're gonna have to get Henry DeWitt. I saw Henry out there in the chat.
He's out
Henry,
there
we're gonna have
somewhere.
to get you on that. Dig up what you know
Mhm.
about him, and find out. Scott Clark got to see the sea chest years before the guys went to visit him on the air. And he's very invested in the Captain James Anderson.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at Scott's book, he's got probably
Yeah.
6 or 7 different places where he talks about the Andersons.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm going through it again. Got my notes in there. Going
You have
through
to.
it
There's a
again.
lot of information in there.
Oh, yeah. And he was on here as well. Matter of fact, he was number 7.
Yep.
Sir William Phipps
Mhm.
was Mr. Scott Clark. And don't forget, we're going to have Scott on the show on November 1st.
Right.
That is a Wednesday, November 1st. Tom and Alessandra, hopefully Alessandra can make
Mhm.
it. Or we're going to be hosting Mr. Scott Clark. We're going to be talking about his latest book, The Oak Island Odyssey. So we're really looking forward to that and speaking with him on that. But his original, when we had him on before, he was here talking about Sir William Phipps, and also the guy that he ended up working with,
Belcher.
Belcher. Yeah, Anthony Belcher.
Well, Belcher came on after the fact, right? Phipps
Yeah.
Phipps recovered all the silver, took it back to England, became marvelously famous, and the golden boy in the eyes of the king. Made him whatever he made him, knighted him or whatever. And then, of course, he brings Belcher on as his right-hand man.
Right.
And that's where Belcher comes into the picture.
Right. And this is the silver that he recovered, by the way, was from the Concepcion,
Yep.
which was a ship that had sank down. It was down by Cuba, I guess, down in that area.
That range somewhere, yeah.
And he went down there. He found it. He was able to recover a whole bunch of, I guess initially it said one mission took back a lot, 34 ton of silver. The next trip with Belcher, only 1/20th of
Yeah.
that amount of
Yeah.
stuff.
So if he took back, what'd you say, the first time, 34 tons?
Yes.
That meant he left 66 tons on the floor of the ocean. The original shipment was in the 100-ton range.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so then he hooks up with Belcher, and the letter says that Belcher was caught with one of Phipps' ships in the Mahone Bay area, and they burned it.
Mhm.
So there you go with the whole, was there a ship that was burned in the swamp area when it was open to the sea?
Mhm.
I don't know, but what happened to that? What happened to
Yeah.
that money that was on there, the silver that was there?
Or was it dismantled and used for making tunnels to hide stuff?
Yeah, again, but again, it's a very good. It's a very good. Every single one of these has merit.
Yep.
That's why they made the top 10, because every single one of them
Mhm.
does.
Mhm.
So if he did get a ship, if he took one of the ships, did Phipps know about it? Was he in cahoots with Phipps, and they were gonna spirit some of that silver away and hide it somewhere?
Could be.
Yeah. Or was Belcher working on his own and just
Right.
had
Off
these
the
ships?
books.
Yeah, off the books. Yeah, exactly. But there was a letter. That letter, the 1688 letter, says that Belcher was caught with a Phipps ship in Mahone Bay area and then burned it. So I don't know. That's again, that's a good one. Now, number
Mhm.
6 was one that I was, it was Alex Lagina's, and it was about the HO stone, and the HO that they found, or the HIC that they found on a pillar.
Correct.
Where do you remember where that was exactly?
I was in Rome somewhere. So I can't remember which one, or in Italy.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one exactly that it was in, but yeah, one of the locations. Was that a church? I believe. Not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And I got one picture
Church.
here. This is the
Yep.
HO
The
stone. And
HO
again,
stone.
yeah. And again, I fall back. I talked to Corey and Mole about this a little bit on Sunday.
Mhm.
Because this HO stone, I was very interested in it, and we don't know for sure. Everybody calls it the HO because it looks like an H and an O, but then you've got this symbol in the middle, which they say is
Mhm.
a Templar.
That's supposedly a Templar mark. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I don't know. I mean, to me, he took a couple of lines and turned it into something else. So
yeah,
is it a theory or not? I mean, I don't know. If the person was going to go to all that work to carve that, I think they'd probably have finished it.
right. Yeah, here Templar gold. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too.
Yeah.
But I was kind of curious about this H. If that H, it looked almost to me like this H is connected on the top, which is looking like the bottom. You got
Mhm.
these two little legs right here which is on the top now.
Yeah.
Look at the bottom right here, how it looks like it may be connected.
Could be. Yeah.
And then
Depending
I
on the
was
lighting.
looking at this that's on this pillar, and there's an A right here. Now the A is very choppy. It's very
Mhm.
cut. It's not
So is that an
rounded.
A? Is that an A or is that a Mason square?
Again, yeah, that's right. So
Or
I don't
compass?
know. I think it warrants further investigation all around on that one.
Mm.
So yeah.
Mm.
But he came up with an idea, and they have seen that symbol, that plus sign symbol. They have seen that, which is in the center here. They have seen that.
Oh, no doubt
before.
about it. Yep, no
Yeah.
doubt about it. I've seen it in several places.
And
Yep.
Corian said that is a Templar marking.
That is the mark of a Templar. Yep.
So why? And this is why I go back to the Templars again. Why would there be a stone with that marking on it on Oak Island in Nova Scotia? So I don't know. Is that an A instead of an H on the HO stone? I don't know.
We don't even know if we're looking at it.
Fortune's Texas Farm.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
What are the other markings on the bottom part of the stone that we can't even make out?
Right. Because if you turn that around, you turn the stone and flip it 180 degrees, then you got O and then the Templar mark, and then that would be an A, would it not? Be an A.
Yep.
So maybe it's an A instead, and we're looking at it the wrong way, an
Mhm.
upside down A, exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know on that one. I don't know on that one. Yeah.
Yep. But again, things that weren't further investigation. I just wish that stone was still around, the HO stone. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they just found it and blew it up, right? Like that was,
I can't believe that happened. I
of course,
really can't.
that was the mindset back then, right? If I
Yeah.
can't move it, just blow it up.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Because there's other markings on it. You can see them down here.
Yeah.
you know, and
Even, even,
it probably
even
told
right
the
above the O, it looks like a modern day 2,
Mhm.
the number 2.
Yep. Yeah. I
Is that another O with a dot at the bottom right hand corner?
it does. It looks like right here. It looks like another O with the dot in the center.
Yeah, and go over on the right hand side of it too, in the bottom right hand corner.
Yeah. I wish I
So I
could-
mean, but definitely the H and the O, as we know them, are definitely carved, and the Templar sign, the cross with the 4 dots, is definitely there. I mean,
Over
whether
the
it's
top.
supposed to be up, down, sideways, whatever, they're definitely there.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know. Interesting. So yeah, again, it's one of those things that we just wish was still. You know, I think I would have to. I would assume that they've scoured around looking for other pieces. I know I would certainly be looking for them in the water everywhere because this was sitting on the beach.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was sitting on the
So-
beach. He said it was right on the where the water line
Mm.
was. So
Goodness knows how many pieces it went into.
oh, I know. A bunch of fools to
Mm.
blow that thing up. Okay.
Yep.
Number 5 was the Sir Francis Bacon.
For Francis Bacon, yeah. And that was Peter Evanson's theory at the time,
Mhm.
back in 2013. There's been a lot of other people touch on that theory too. Our friend Jake
Yep.
Roberts is quite infamous now for his theories about Bacon, Shakespeare, and those people. So,
Yep.
could Francis Bacon have been involved? Absolutely. He's in the 1600 range, right? The Portuguese were here, the French were here, the English were here. Samuel de Champlain was poking around. There's a lot of people, a lot of activity here in the 1600s.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
could it have been, tied into Nolan's Cross? Absolutely.
And all those names that you just mentioned, Champlain and you got Sir Walter Raleigh. I
Mhm.
mean, all those people at that time frame that were all connected with one another. And I loved Peter talking about the tree of life.
Mhm.
That's and there's been a few other people that have kind of talked about that also. There's Peter there, sitting with Jack in the war room, and that tree of life symbol there, right there. Now he went out and they found another stone. I forget which one, the Mercy Stone. I forget, was it the
Mhm.
Mercy they were looking for?
Mercy Stone they found, yeah.
Yeah, and they found it. They dug up and they found it. It looked like it had been split in half because it had one edge of it was completely flat.
Mhm.
Like really super flat. And
When
so
I first saw that stone, it reminded me of the one that we found out in Alessandra's lot.
yes, and I saw that too.
New Ross.
Yeah,
But I
carving
looked,
around
I
the
looked
electric
at it closer, and it's not the same type of stone. So,
Yep.
but it did remind me a lot of it.
So does this right here, and again, I go back to the whole idea behind the cross, Nolan's cross, and the fact that those boulders that were used there, the cones that made up the five pieces of the cross, not counting the headstone,
Mhm.
but those stones were huge. I mean, they are not an easy thing to move around.
No,
So,
and mathematically they line up.
and mathematically, they line up. And nobody's going to go through all that trouble to put those stones into place. Excuse me, just simply to say, okay, we made it. Now what are we going to do? It has to mean something.
It's a
And
lot
with
of
what-
manpower, a lot of manpower, a lot of ox power.
Exactly. So it has to mean something. Now we get down to what does it mean? I don't know. But, if there's more stones, and I don't know if anybody has gone and looked for these other ones, what about the other stones that are out there that,
Yeah,
that would be part of the tree of life?
You'd have to lay it over the island to see where they are, and it could be, where they were could have already been moved, removed, buried, depending on the farm and the agriculture and
Right.
whatever else has been done on the island. They could be still there or long gone. Just
Yeah.
those great big huge stones, the main stones of Nolan's Cross, those were not just something somebody was going to easily move.
Right. And they weren't covered up. They were still,
yeah,
I mean, they were cone shaped. They were big. They were
Huge boulders, yeah.
yeah, absolutely huge boulders. And Fred Nolan, he owns most of where all those stones are.
Yep.
Well, now Tom does, but yeah. So again, something to think about because of the fact that there are so many, the fact that this cross was put there and it was huge, like you just said, manpower to get it done. So what, it has to, it has to mean more than just simply people just doing it for fun.
Oh, yeah, that would not have been fun. So
No, no, that would not have been fun.
and probably doing it with oxen and probably even forced labor at the time.
Yeah.
You know, subscripted labor, slave labor, forced labor, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
A lot of these people probably weren't there because they wanted to be.
Yeah, exactly. So that was number 5. Number 4, the Prince Henry Sinclair theory. You know, according, and this goes back, and I don't know where this is, and if anybody can help me with this, I'd really appreciate it. But the Henry Sinclair theory, where they said that the Mi'kmaq legend. Now, the Mi'kmaq legend in 1398, a man arrived who had an army and many ships.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, he would have been sort of blonde haired, blue eyed.
Mhm.
Say, let's call him 6 foot. The average indigenous person at the time was probably like 5'6". So he would have appeared to be a giant, right? And then he shows up with the ship and his armor and his, you know, whatever else he shows up with, and to them he was like, whoa, this is something special. So they didn't know how to categorize him, so they made him a god.
Yep.
Basically. Yeah.
Right. And there was some that said that they were calling him Glooscap, that he was the man behind the naming of the Glooscap god. And then you've got, you know, and is that plausible? Yes. And does he have ties to the Knights Templar?
Absolutely.
Probably yes. I mean, I would say yes.
Yep. He's in that right range, in that right area that you know, when the Templars were escaping, migrating, resettling, reestablishing.
Yep.
You know, definitely could have been. Yep.
And then you've got the Andrea de la Robolante.
Yep.
Robolant was there, and he talked about the Zeno brothers. Now we've had him on the show because he was working with Luca Santoni on the Templars show, the 5 episodes of the Templars, and he talked about the Zeno brothers and how they had come over and they found, you know, parts of, you know, Greenland, Iceland. They came over in 1390 and they helped Sinclair. So, the idea is that's what the theory, and there was a map that actually has their name written on it.
Yep.
So if they had already made that voyage, if they already knew about it, then could they or would they have helped Sinclair? Absolutely, they could have. And supposedly he was there and met with them.
The age-old story, what's in it for me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, if you go back through all those theories and you try and tie them all together, I mean, the Templars is a common thread. As Rick said, you know, it's not just one incident at one time. It's a combination of a bunch of incidents over time that you draw that common link. And the common link would be something like Templar knowledge has been passed down through the ages. They just didn't come here once and stay and do all that work in the swamp.
Exactly. No, absolutely not.
That's a multiple year project, and maybe it's a project that gets started, stop, never finish. But hey, we need a place to go. I know a place to go.
Yep, exactly. And I got a really good place. There's nobody around there except some indigenous peoples that, you know, and we can pretty much do whatever we want there. So,
but there's been nobody there in 200 years. I think we're okay.
Yeah. So another very plausible theory. I mean, and it ties again with the Templars. And we go to number 3. And of course, I want to let you guys know that we have a special guest here with us to help us talk about number 3.
A fellow New Brunswicker.
Number 3. Congratulations on having number 3, Mr. Irving. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, fellas. Just having my morning coffee, minding my own business, and some guy named Burns texts me and says, "Congratulations, you're number 8." Of course, I didn't have my glasses on or my coffee. So I'm going, oh, well, okay, I'm still top 10. I just bounced down to number 8. And then, I get another text, "Congratulations on number 3." And it's like, 3? No way. So then I
put your
talked
glasses
to Tom
on
again and said, "What are you talking about, number 3. Yeah, exactly. Put
Well, I had to send them the
glasses on.
screenshot back and circle the number 3.
Yeah, had to, so I believe it. So yeah, number 3. It was a little exciting, and
Yeah.
my dog's
Absolutely.
excited with all the commotion. So say hi,
Yep.
Maddie, to everybody. So
Mhm.
all right, way you go. So yeah,
Yes.
good
The Christopher
to be
Columbus
here,
theory.
boys. I happened in and caught a little bit of the round table with the boys. And,
Oh, cool.
Was
Yep.
happy to see you on. Hey, Gretchen, good to see you watching too. I know you're a big
Yep.
Templar fan.
Oh,
know.
she is for sure. Yep.
So, the Templar theory, same thing. What's his name? Christopher Columbus theory. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, and we've talked about this before, in the few times I've been on the show. What you see and what gets presented is like a million miles apart, right?
Yep.
So we got 4 or 5 hours worth of presentation, and you get 8 minutes, right? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that the public doesn't get a chance to see. Now, I mean, I used to have my own show back in the day, and I've presented most of the stuff. And of course, being 8 years later, most people don't even remember me except for my crew right in front of me, of course. But
You're a favorite among this team, I tell you what.
That's right.
Yes, you are.
well, and now that I'm back in number 3, I think I'm going to have to go back to work. So
You got to
But-
sharpen that pencil and get to reading, dude. You got some research.
Yeah. First question is, what did they find this summer that bumped me up to number 3? That's what everybody.
Oh, yes. Well, you remember the shoot? Remember the heel? That was one
Oh,
of the
yeah.
things they brought up on the
Oh,
show is that boot
Oh, yeah.
heel that they found in the money pit in the
Yeah. Oh,
spoils.
yeah. So maybe they
And it
found
dated
the other
right
half of the shoe. So, So yeah.
Maybe they found him.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, and I've always said, I firmly believe that Christopher Columbus was a knight of Christ.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
One, I mean, I've done a lot of research on him, obviously. There's a guy here that I've known about for years, and he wrote a whole book about Columbus not being who everybody thinks he was. And it's called Christopher Columbus, the Portuguese who discovered America. And the author's name is Pedro Larrañaga. And this is, a short version. I don't know if you can see that. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Of his book. And he flat out goes through all the reasons why Christopher Columbus, one, that name is an alias. Okay. It goes on to state that, and most people forget that there's a lot of research that indicates that Columbus was actually a Portuguese Sephardic Jew. And so the Columbus name was a disguise. Okay, because Christo, of course, represents Christ. So if you're going to disguise yourself from being expelled from Spain and Portugal, be a Christian. So that's one of the main theories. But it's also in his signature, which was here. And Larrañaga lays out a pretty compelling argument that, his true name is Salvador Fernandez Zarco. And
Really?
I could spend all day going over this little part of research, but that was important to me, and it really made me believe that Columbus was 100% Portuguese. I mean, we know he married a Portuguese noblewoman, right?
Right.
Yep. And what was
Also-
her time? Yeah.
Who was also lineage to who you were just talking about, Sinclair. So,
Yeah.
there's the connection from Columbus to the Sinclairs, direct connection, not cousins twice removed. We're talking direct line. So, and they even, that was part of the presentation was that Columbus had access, to the Sinclair maps. Okay. They asked me if I believed in the Sinclair voyages. Yes, I did. why is there a gap between, Sinclair and Columbus? Well, the Black Plague shut down everything.
Yeah,
for
for sure. Yep.
years. All shipping stopped because the plague was, transmitted with rats, and rats were always in the bottom of the boats. So, there's that whole argument. Washington Irving, and we've talked about this too. The whole Washington Irving connection to Columbus. I mean, he wrote his autobiography, right? And I found a paragraph in the back of the book, and it was during the trials of Columbus. And this one really drove home to me that there's a connection between, Chris Columbus, Zarco, whatever his true name is, and Oak Island. And that was during his trial. Okay. And Martin Pinzon's son testified at the trial. Okay. And his name was Arias Perez Pinzon. And he declared that being once in Rome with his father on commercial affairs before the time of the discovery, they had frequent conversations with a person learned in cosmography who was in the service of Pope Innocent VIII. And that being in the library of the Pope, this person showed them many manuscripts, from one of which his father gathered intimations of those new lands. For there is a passage, this is really important, by a historian as old as the time of Solomon, which said, navigate the Mediterranean Sea to the end of Spain, and then hence towards the setting sun, in a direction between north and south, until 95 degrees of longitude, and you will find the land of Cipango, fertile and abundant, and equal in greatness to Africa and Europe. So 95 degrees. And then I thought, so I studied 95 degrees of longitude, every which way but sideways. It did not work with the old meridian. It didn't work with the modern day meridian. It just didn't work. But then I discovered that Columbus actually studied under this dude here by the name of, where is he? Abraham Zacuto. That's him here. And he gave Columbus all of his star maps, all of his tide tables, and even Zacuto had mapped out when the equinoxes are, and when when the sun gets in front of the moon. There, what do you call that? Having a brain fart.
Eclipse.
Eclipse.
Yeah, because he actually scared the Indians into submission, because he said, if you don't behave, the lights are going to go out. And the next night, he knew there was going to be an eclipse. And that, quelled a rebellion of the
Which could do that pretty good. Oh my gosh, he must be a god if he could do that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but what's important is that Zacuto got all of his math from basically, the early days of geometry and astronomy, and they were all based in Egypt, and they were all based on the Great Pyramids. I mean, physics, geometry, all that is based on the Great Pyramids. And that was covered way back, I think, in season 2, when they went to England the first time. And what was interesting about that is when I looked at the Great Pyramids, I mean, they're located 29 degrees north and 31 degrees east. Oak Island is 44 degrees north and 64 degrees west. So if you add 64 degrees west and 31 degrees east, which is where all the ancient math was based on, that's 95 degrees.
Yep.
And that was just what I just read to you.
Wow.
So that's a pretty big coincidence. So, Columbus knew where he was going. Everybody says, Columbus made it by accident. No, he didn't. Columbus was
I don't believe
very
that for
skilled sailor. He was down almost to the Horn of Africa. He was also in Iceland, and not too many people know that he was in Iceland. And he studied with the old fishermen up in one of the old northern ports in Iceland about the northern route to the free world. And this was in 1477. And there's a painting in a church in the north of Iceland, and that shows Christopher Columbus studying.
Wow.
And they're pointing west.
1477.
Right. So he was already up in Iceland in 1477. In fact, there's even a little monument in front of the church dedicated to the winter Columbus was there. So he knew it was over there. And I think he chose the southern route because it's just a better route to go.
Oh,
and
safer.
And another thing that I figured out about Columbus was he used 53.66 degrees or nautical miles in a degree, which everybody couldn't make sense out of. And it finally dawned on me. I did the math, and where he landed in San Salvador, I mean, the Earth is obviously shaped like a circle. So 60 nautical miles to a degree at the equator. But the further you go, there's less nautical miles in a degree. And where he landed in San Salvador was exactly 53.66 nautical miles. And what's interesting is that he sailed across the Tropic of Cancer, which is 23 degrees, which is the furthest point north when you look up in the sky where the sun is directly over your head. So all he had to do was follow the sun, and that's where the strong winds were, and it would take him to the west.
Wow.
All simple stuff, but it's how we get here. And it says why Oak Island? Well, it's the last stop on the way home, right?
Yeah, it would be. Yep.
For treasure. They always sailed up the coast and they always went home. So, those were just some of the things that, never made the show. But, like I said, for some reason now I'm number 3, so I just can't wait to.
Well, I wanted to ask you too what you thought, because I'd love to have you back on at some point. We're going to have another podcast where you come on and dig into this really deeply. But I wanted to ask you what you thought then of number 2, which was the Military Order of Christ, the Portuguese sect of the Knights Templar. Now, that still ties back to Columbus, does it not? I mean, the Portuguese sect of the Knights Templar.
100%. So I mean, there was an awful lot. There was an awful lot of theory number 4 and an awful lot of theory number 2 that they already knew about. But 8 years later, and Corian come on, and Corian's over in Europe, and you know what I mean. So he found out the same things and a lot more, right? You know what I mean, because Corian's over there, and he is part of the show. So yes, all 2, 3, and 4, are basically all part of my grand theory anyway. It's just I just keep waiting for new stuff to come along, and and so I'm not in Europe. I was supposed to be over there right now, but right now is not a good time to be in Europe apparently. So I'm gonna put off my trip till next year, but I love theory number 2, and really love the bald guy with theory number 3, or the other bald guy. I guess Corian's bald too, and and definitely number 4 ties in as well. So I was pretty happy when Tom got hold of me this morning.
Yeah, I told you that. And number 1 was Zenas.
Yes.
And you know what? That's the thing, is that all of them. Not all of them. There was a few that weren't Templar related. James Anderson wasn't. Duke d'Anville wasn't. But Zenas comes back, and she's talking Knights Templar as well. And now you get that, you throw in that date of 1347, which you know, and again, I go back to that whole thing with the maps that she had that are
Right.
in this book.
Yeah.
And, you know, it shows that one map, and I'm going to show that picture real quick because it gets me that, let's see, that they keep calling it the 1347 map, and it's based upon the,
Right.
the date that's on, let's see, as soon as I find it here, the date that is on right here it is. Okay. Let me bring this up. It's a date. Well, they call it a date, but it's the actual written 1347,
Right.
and it's pointing to somewhere on the island that's next to Oak Island. What was the
Yeah,
name of this island again? I forgot the name of it, Tom. What's that?
Is that Frog or is it? Is
Frog
it Frog
Island.
Island?
Yeah, it's the island that's just to the west
North.
or the east of
Yeah,
Oak Island.
northeast. Yeah, northeast.
And it's pointing. So because I keep going back to how all the other names of the little where the writing are with a line, and it's a jagged line. It's a line with a little jag in it, and it's pointing to somewhere on Oak Island. And then you've got this one that is, again, it's a line with something written on it, and it's got the little jag, and it's pointing to Frog Island here at a particular point, and it says 1347. So I keep saying that's not a date, but maybe I could be wrong. I don't know
Yeah.
that
Well,
it
I mean,
means,
hold on. Let me load up Google Earth. Maybe it's 1,347 feet from one island to the other.
maybe,
I don't know if
yeah.
anybody's bothered to look at that, but you know, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not going to do that on this old dinosaur computer. Take 5 minutes just to load the program, but you know, but you never know. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of different ways to interpret numbers. And I always, you know, it's how I figured out the 5366, you know, why Columbus used that nautical measurement to navigate with, why the 95 degrees, you know what I mean? If it was important enough to put in the book, it had to be important. But until you look at everything sideways, it's like your HO stone upside down, you know, and I texted in there. It's actually the Order of the Hospitalier, who also became the Order of Christ. That was that was the other Templars. Well, they weren't Templars, but they were another order that was found at the same time as the Templars. So when the Templars were disbanded in Portugal, they became the Knights of Christ.
Right. In
other parts of Europe, they got absorbed into the Order of the Hospitalier. So, you know, it's
so
there's a lot of things to be interpreted differently just by looking at it differently.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's what's great about all these theories. You know, when you look at the common denominator that keeps coming up, and the dates and the carbon testing and everything else, the carbon dating, it all points to that era. So, you know, do I think that's there? Yeah, I do. Did I ever say Chris Columbus set foot on Oak Island? No, I didn't. I said he was responsible, right?
Right.
You know, the second boat had 85 ships and 1,200 men. You know what I mean? You know, we found Ponce Leon's signature on the Overton Stone. You know, I've mentioned that before on the show, right? Yep. He was on the second voyage, and he's got all kinds of gaps in his history. So they all, excuse me, could have been bringing things up to Oak Island that they didn't want going back home to the king.
Yep, and there you go with multiple treasure theories. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about that 1347 date is that's also the date on the cornerstone in the cave in Royston.
Yeah,
exactly.
Gretchen took him into that cave and showed him that. Yeah.
And I have not been in the cave, but again, that came across my stuff way back. Now, I did not catch the 1347, but the symbols. I mean, there's so many similar symbols there that really, when you add it up, the collective coincidental evidence is enough to condemn, you know, the most innocent man the
Yep.
world,
You broke up
Right?
on us. To
Mhm.
condemn the most innocent man in the world?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Circumstantial
So when
evidence.
you-
Yeah.
Logic usually dictates. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, thank you, Tom. Yeah, exactly. And so that's what I think. I think the target is getting smaller.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that they find one or two more things, and then I think we're all going to know what really is going on. So
Mhm.
I'm excited. I'm excited for season.
Oh, I didn't
11,
know that.
just like
Ray
everybody
just
else.
said
So
Ray just said that 1347 was the start of the Black Plague. Was that? I didn't know that. Is that?
I didn't know either.
See, bingo, bingo.
Wow.
We just talked about that. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. See, I did
That's
not know that.
crazy.
If that's the
So-
case. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. And I know
And
that
that went on for
Zena's
100 years or something.
Zena's information in her book really relies a lot on the Cremona documents, which I guess is the Ontario. I can't pronounce this. Onteora. Ontario.
Ontario.
Yeah, document, which is called A Year We Remember. So that voyage took place, supposedly what she had written in there, from 1178 to 1180. And then you got,
Right.
Dr. Spooner finding that stick that was in the platform, or the big platform area, from dated about 1220. And then you also have
Right.
the well on lot 26 dating about 1028 to 1172. So he just throws these dates all over the daggone place, and you get I think what it boils down to, for me anyway, is that the island, like you were just saying, has been used multiple times by multiple people over multiple years. But why Oak Island?
Yeah,
Because they
firmly
knew
believe
about it. It seemed like a safe place. I don't know.
Because they knew it was there,
Yep.
because the information had been passed down.
Yeah.
There's already,
Yep.
the infrastructure had already been started.
But getting back to simplicity, it's also the last stop on the way home.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
All ships would stop somewhere in Nova Scotia. Their last chance for fresh water, last chance for meat, deer, whatever they're
Yeah.
loading on board, right?
Right.
Trading with the Aboriginals for food to get back home. You know what I mean? So people forget just how important geography is back in those days. So, yeah.
That's very
it's,
true, Gretchen. Thank you, Gretchen, for that. Yeah. The plague in France, 1347, crossed to England a year later. So leaving Royston Cave prior to the plague coming over is very important. There you go. Thank you, Gretchen.
100%. 100%.
Yep.
And so, the most important things, if you think about it, now, mine was the religious artifacts, not the treasure, not, the gold and stuff.
Mhm.
But if you were to bring the stuff over, let's say the ark was in the mix, okay, which that's the story I'm writing, and the other important religious artifacts that we all believe the Templar had in their possession.
Right.
Oak Island, Nova Scotia in general, is a perfect place to stash it and hide it, because again, everybody's going to the Caribbean first, going up the coast. By the time they get to Nova Scotia, they don't want to be in Nova Scotia. Plus, you've been there, Jeff. Tom, you're a maritimer like me. You know what our season's like, just like this year. We've got 6 weeks of sunshine this year, and the rest is damp and cold and miserable. So nobody's going to want to hang out here. They just want to go home. So that's the perfect place to bury a treasure, because one, you get a short hunt season, and two, there's just no reason, for anybody to hang out here back in those days.
Yeah. Home when you
It
can.
wasn't a vacation country back then, right?
It's a great place to stash something.
Yeah, exactly. Because people aren't going to be looking for it there.
Right. So so interesting. So and I can see why, and you talk about if Columbus, these guys had brought something there, and then people came back later and made a withdrawal. So
Correct.
what's still there? Who knows? But the guys are looking for it. So hopefully they'll they come up with something. But man, I don't know. It's but like I said, each one of these theories, and some of them, like we just talked about, kind of tie in with each other very closely. So
Oh, yeah.
how possible is it that, like Maddie had said, number 10 was number 1 was Xena's, and does it kind of maybe tie all of them or most of them together?
Mhm.
I think it does. I think that several of them are possible, or even though they're different time frames,
Mhm.
it's very likely that they are all possible, that they
Yeah,
are all.
they're tied together either by geography or culture.
Yep.
Yeah, and I agree with the culture part, Tom. You've always got. I mean, if you remember the origins of pirates, they were actually the Templars. I mean, the term pirate became or developed from Templars. Those were the Templars that escaped and went to sea. And the original Templars would only attack ships, crown ships. They would not attack any other ship.
I've heard
But then they were branded as pirates. And then the privateers had a license to hunt the privates or the pirate, right? You know what I mean? So it is that same culture that I believe Tom's talking about. You can call them Templars, you can call them Masons, you can call them whatever you want. I just like the term guardians, because then you got a reason for the G on the G stone. You know what I mean? You call them whatever you want, but guardians of the secret. And I think it involves a lot of people over a lot of time.
Yep,
and
for sure.
Like I said, that's what I believe we are chasing on Oak Island, is just not a specific group, but Tom, culture is a perfect word.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I think you're right. I do, and I think they're starting to realize that too. And whenever they go through and they find these things that spread out from the 1100s or 1200s all the way up till the middle 1700s, the significant things that they're finding, it leads to that right there. It's telling you that there have been people there over multiple years and different groups of peoples, the Portuguese on down. And so it seems like it was just a place where a lot of them went and took, stashed stuff and came back and got stuff and stashed some more stuff or whatever, it's just So do you think where do you think it is now? Do we want to go there, or do we want to hold that for the next time you come on the show?
let's wait. Now that see, before I would have given that to you in a heartbeat, but now that for some reason I got bumped up to number 3, I think we're going to wait for a while.
All right, we might see you back on the island.
Yeah, I don't think I got bumped up because of my stunning good looks. So, no, that was the first question. When I got off the phone, texting with Tom, was like, so why did that happen? What did they find this summer that all of a sudden I'm back in the spotlight? So so I'm as curious as anybody else, and my phone's just been going off the hook all day, and it's it's fun. It's fun to be back in the mix. Okay. Yep. It doesn't mean I gotta get off my butt and get back into the books. You know what I mean? Yep. But no, I'm really excited. I'm excited about the season. Like I said, there's something amiss, and I can't wait to find out what it is. So I think
they're going to reveal that hopefully here in season 11. We'll find out.
If I'm number 3, it's got to be for a good reason. So I'm pretty excited to find out. So.
Stay tuned. We'll find out.
Yep. Stay tuned. We're going to find out. Exactly right. Well, Tom, what do you think? I mean, did you figure the same way on these, that they're quite a few of them are all tied together?
I went back and I just put a T next to every line that had a Templar or possible Templar connection, and we're talking 7 out of the 10.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like Jeff says, you want to call them Templars, you want to call them Rosicrucians, you want to call them Masons, you want to call them whatever you want.
Yep.
Because the name and the location changed over hundreds of years.
Mm-hmm.
But the bottom line is it's a common thread of knowledge running through all of them.
I think so.
Nope.
I think so.
For sure.
And I
I
think
really
all
do.
these dots that they're trying to connect are now becoming a straight line.
Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah,
That's
100%.
right.
It's
Yeah.
it's like the dartboard, only the little dot in the middle is starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
And I think they're getting. I think they're getting close. You know what
Yeah,
I
I
mean?
do
We're
too.
still going to be looking at a lot of pieces of wood. We're still looking at the same stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I think they're getting close. I really,
Yeah.
really do, and I'm really excited about that. So
Yeah, I am
even
too.
more
I
so
really
this morning. You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure. You might be getting that phone call saying, "Hey, you need to come out." Well, they're wrapping up now, so it'll be next year. But maybe over the winter months, they'll be ringing your phone, going, "Hey, we need
Yeah.
to get you back in the war room." So, what I wanted to say, thank you. First of all, thank you for coming on tonight. I know we kind of caught you off guard there by Tom and I texting you and everything, but I'm really
Oh,
happy
that's
to see you come back on and talk with us. And I really wanted to thank you again personally for coming out to Nova Scotia and meeting with me. You came there for my birthday party and showed up. You drove a long way to come out there, and I know you and I tried to get something worked out so that I could come back and do a little exploration with you, and we didn't get to do that. But I still want to do some of that.
Well, it's there's all kinds of stuff going on. I'm sure you followed my page. I discovered a bona fide smuggler's cave.
Yes, that was
across
interesting.
St. Andrews. So I'm actively on that story now. Met with the landowner. So yeah, there's all kinds of interesting things in our area. I mean, Tom's just up the coast from me. 45 minutes to an hour. And Tom, you and I got to get together one of these days.
We do, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the nice thing about St. Andrews is most people have to drive right by me to get anywhere on the East Coast. If you're coming from the States, you have to drive right by me to get, anywhere, PEI, Nova Scotia, whatever. So, the welcome mat is always open and there's always fun things to do. So,
and I really appreciate the gift here. You got me 3 books. These are the old Popular Science magazines. And these are awesome. Yeah. I got 3 copies of it here that Jeff gave me for my birthday, and this was awesome. So they sit right here on my table. And I flip through them and occasionally and look at different things in them. But again, thank you so very much for that. That was just too awesome, and all the driving you did to come up there and everything. But we're gonna hook up. I'm gonna come back up there. We're gonna go out exploring together. I want to see some of this stuff firsthand.
Look forward to seeing you. And the nice thing about the library, the Oak Island Library that I've got going, is there's lots of cool stories, and when you get to read about it in the time frame, like those were the 1939, I think.
Yes.
And it's all out there. So with all your people that are watching, Oak Island Library, it's free and everything's uploaded, and you can go look at everything from 1905. So, there's all kinds of interesting articles there. So, but no, it was a joy to come down. I mean, I'm a strong supporter of you and your show, and
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Always appreciate getting on. You know what I mean? And now I'll have to put some stuff together. We'll do another show, and
I'd want to. Yep,
for sure.
So yeah.
Yep. Always love having you on because you're so full of knowledge. Like Gretchen, you guys have, you hit the books and you do the studying and you do all the research, and then you come on and you give us an education, and that's what I love about it. So,
I'm looking forward to meeting Gretchen one of these days too. So,
she's a wonderful lady. She really is, and I have had the pleasure to meet her in person before, and actually worked in the field with her a little bit, and she is absolutely wonderful. And again, she's one of those people that she gathers all that information and gives us an education in the process. And I can't thank you enough because it makes it easy for me. I just have a show and have you guys come on and educate us. So I got the easy job.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. I think we've covered pretty much everything for tonight. And again, Jeffrey, thank you so much for coming on. Tom Burns, as always, thanks for being my right arm there to help me
no
get
problem.
through all this stuff. I appreciate you very much. And Linda, of course, working hard in the chat as she always does. And yeah, there's Gretchen right there. That woman is sure very remarkable woman. I can't wait, Gretchen. We got to have you back on the show as well because you've got a lot more that I want to ask you about. So on the air. So we're going to be doing that coming up here soon too. So, but anyway, all right, wrap it up. Time to go. All right. Thank you folks for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate it. And make sure you click on that subscribe button if you would, please. And give us a thumbs up if you like the content of our show tonight. And I really don't know how without having the guys from the island and having Jeff Irving here, how you couldn't have liked tonight's show.
Mr.
Give us
Number
a
Three,
thumbs
Mr. Number Three.
Mr. Number 3. Yes, sir. And but we appreciate you all being here with us tonight. So give us a thumbs up if you would. And we'll catch you next time right here on the J Free 906 podcast. Good night, everyone.
Good night.